Hello there. I am sitting in the parking garage of the local megaplex, getting ready to go and watch a movie called Atomic Blonde. Atomic Blonde! Oh, I went into this movie not liking that name. I thought that was a terrible title. I was wrong. The title is perfect for this movie. And the director, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name, but David, right? No, David Leitch, I believe. And I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I have only ever read it. I've never heard it pronounced. He's gonna be a hot director. This is his first film. This is his first full-length film. He did a Deadpool short. He directed several scenes, a couple scenes in John Wick. He's done some small things. He's going to be directing Deadpool 2, but we can't judge him based off something he hasn't done yet. So the comparison immediately for Atomic Blonde is going to be John Wick. It's an apt comparison. It really is. Although I hate to make comparisons between films because no two films are direct comparisons, but that's how we can gauge things, judge things. You liked John Wick, you're gonna love Atomic Blonde. I like this better than either of the John Wick films, and I thought the John Wick films were fantastic. David Leitch has a fantastic, just a beautiful eye for film. There are shots in this film that are amazingly gorgeous. Any director would just explode in the pants seeing these shots. David Leitch was a stuntman, a stunt coordinator primarily. So that shows in a lot of the way he staged and shot the action sequences. They were all very well staged, very well shot. Thank gods he stepped away from the current trend of doing handheld camera work for the action sequences. You don't need it. You don't need a handheld camera kind of shaking around and making things look a lot faster and more exciting than they are. You need good staging, you need good blocking, and you need a good eye for editing and where to make your cuts, which he did very well. So these fight scenes were spot on. Lots of what looked like long shots, but they weren't. If you look carefully, you can see where the cuts were, but they were very well concealed. Lots of long, steady shots. You can see exactly what's going on, which made it much better. I'm going to stop and talk a second about the soundtrack. Really just for a second, because this film is set in 1989, and that's all the music came from that period. All of it. It was all period appropriate music, and it was all fantastic music. That's some of the best music that has ever come out, and it was used to great effect. It's just fantastic the way they used the music in this film to underscore not only the action, but to underscore the mood and the tone. There were several songs that were not they were remakes. They were covers, basically, but they were very appropriate for the tone in which they were used. I'm going to be picking this soundtrack up. I am going to. This is a soundtrack I need and want. In fact, I probably have almost every song in the soundtrack in my music library already. But there are a few of those, like I mentioned, the remakes, the covers that I don't have because I've never heard them before, and I want them. I really, really do. The film is set in Berlin, East-West Berlin, 1989. Those of you with a slight interest in world history, or who happen to be of a certain age, might remember that point in time. So I won't go into what was happening in history because that will be boring. In this case, it was not boring. Granted, that was just the backdrop to the story, not the story itself. There are a lot of things I'm very happy with in this movie. I was seeing the previews, some of the press material. I was so very worried that Charlize Theron's character and McAvoy's character would wind up being love interests. Like that would be the film. It's an action spy film, but she gets in trouble and he rescues her. I was kind of braced for that. And I'm so glad that that's not what we got. And I'm sorry if that might be kind of a minor spoiler for anybody, but we didn't get that. We didn't get that at all. The characters are full and rich and complicated and so well developed. And the way the film is paced is just... it's not nail-biting. Nail-biting's kind of a really terrible cliche, as along with edge of your seat. But I was wrapped. I was just sucked in to every second of this film. One of the few times watching this type of film, this genre of film, that I didn't know. I couldn't tell how it was going to end. The ending of this film was not telegraphed, and it wasn't a, switch things around, try to surprise you kind of thing either. It was very, very well done. Oh my God, I loved that film. That might be one of my favorite action films of all time. It was a real, punk, 80s punk action spy thriller film. I didn't, and I said earlier that the comic was, I wrote down the comic book name, and it is now too far away for me to reach safely while I'm driving. I'm sorry, that was very dangerous. The Coldest City. The Coldest City. That's a great name, by the way. But the way they did this film, the way it was, the way the art direction was used, the way the music was used, the setting. Atomic Blonde is an appropriate fitting name. So no, it is not. Great name for a book, great name for a story. The name for this film is perfect. So I feel bad, and I didn't express my reservations about the name before going into the film, but I still feel I need to apologize for that. For that slight to the title that only existed in my head. I'm sorry, and nobody would have known had I not said anything. That's just the way it goes sometimes. What else can I say about this film? Just the music is great. The action sequences were Charlize Theron kicked so much ass. Oh my god, she would kick her own ass. I mean, if you took her from Fury Road and put her up against her from Atomic Blonde, it wouldn't be a contest. Furiosa would not stand very much of a chance there. I was happy to see this strong and complex a female protagonist in an action film. Oh, it was so good, and it was so, nothing was patronizing about it. What else did this film have going for it? John Goodman. You have John Goodman in a film, and Teal Schwagner. Oh fuck, Teal Schwagner. You put Teal Schwagner in a film, and I'm halfway sold already. And he wasn't even in it much. He had a small part, but still, you put him in a film, and I'm there. I'm halfway there, just with the name recognition alone. I think he's a fantastic character actor. I really do. Other than that, this is a solid 5. This is just a solid 5 on all fronts. God damn. More movies. Make more movies like this. I hate seeing a director come out with something on their first shot like this. Although I guess it's not really fair to say this is his first shot. He's been around the industry for a while. David Leitch knows what he's doing. Clearly, he has put in work and study. He knows what he's doing, and I am really looking forward now to what he does with Deadpool 2 and everything else he does in the future. I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be watching him very, very carefully. And as soon as I can, I'm going to go back and watch this movie again, because it was just that good. It was absolutely that good. God, yeah. Tell your friends. Tell your loved ones. And enjoy the fuck out of this movie.